Hey, what's up,
Oh,
everybody? Welcome to our channel. We're offended, you're offended. I'm Kim. That is Tyler, wherever the voice is.
oh, I
was-
made a small sound by accident. When you started talking, it was me.
And
That's
this is
Amy.
Amy.
Hi,
yes.
I'm helping.
Welcome back, Amy.
Yeah, I like to come in with not a bang, I guess, a soft, nondescript sound in the background.
It's okay. I like things like this.
That's good.
Do you want
It's
me to
good when
restart, or are we good to just...
I'm not.
No. Keep it going.
Oops,
No,
Natural.
we're really good at the
messing up our
impromptu
intros?
stuff. Yeah.
That's how we
It's what
roll.
makes it charming. Yeah, it's endearing. You know.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. So before we get into anything, everybody knows the
You
drills.
just need the nondescript sound.
Yeah.
Thumbs up or thumbs down. Sorry, lost my train of thought there. Like, subscribe, share. Definitely share. Did I mention share? Yeah, share.
Share it.
Share it. You
Smoke.
can catch our podcast anywhere you want to listen to a podcast. YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, everywhere. You can catch us on our socials: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and yeah, I think that's it. I think that's
Yeah.
our socials. Yeah.
Yeah. You
So
can get
welcome
my
back, Amy. Everybody remembers she was on a couple weeks ago. So what's new with you, Amy? Anything in the, I don't know, new things happening? How's the work thing going?
Still don't have my job. Still on indefinite leave, but I'm technically on medical / stress leave right now.
Ooh, good. Good. Well, not good,
But
but
yeah, but for what it's worth, there's like a third party insurance provider who has to validate that my doctor said I needed to be off work. So that's cool, right?
oh yeah.
So anyway, they denied my claim based on something my doctor forgot to fill out on this form. And that's when the president of the company phoned me and was like, yeah, now you're getting put on indefinite unpaid leave as like punitive action for not obeying the policy. And now you don't have benefits or anything. And so the technicality that they were denying my claim, this is just so I get paid out like more than EI, right? Like from the actual company insurance plan that I pay into, right?
Yeah.
I can still go apply for EI. But anyway, so then the whole reason they denied it was because my doctor hadn't like put enough information about what the treatment plan is, which is, I don't know, it's weird to me. I'm on stress leave. So the treatment is that I stop doing stressful shit.
That's generally, your treatment plan is rest,
Take her easy. Like,
yeah.
So anyway, of course, or therapy, but since they cut me off of my benefits and took away my income, I can't really go to therapy.
Yeah, who the hell can afford therapy without
Right.
benefits for one? And you don't even have income coming in. So yeah, thanks guys.
Right. So now I don't know, now that claim's not valid anyway. So I'm not sure. But the fun thing is they put me on this indefinite leave as of October 1st. And they're advertising for my job.
Oh no.
Oh
yeah.
That is slimy.
Yeah. And the kicker is they don't say in the ad that you need to be vaccinated to be a candidate for the role.
So
nor do they say you need to travel interprovincially even, which they specifically say travel within Manitoba, which is just not correct because my territory covers out into Ontario. So, but they say travel within Manitoba right in the ad. And they don't even say like must be able to attend public events or not even couched in something. Like there's literally nothing there that would tell the candidate that they need to be vaccinated. So that's my job. And I have that exact skill set. And I've been forced on to leave
That's
against my
not
will.
okay. You know,
And they're advertising it, you know?
I had heard something recently that really, in the words of Peter Griffin, grind my gears.
Yes.
Um, okay. So I had heard that obviously anybody who pays attention to the news, even a little bit, because I only do a little bit, and I knew this. So the pharmaceutical companies, they get exempt from anything that may happen to you by taking these vaccines. They're
Yeah.
completely safe. You cannot go after them.
Yeah.
Also, you cannot go after the government. Okay. Here's
Yep.
the
No.
fun little kicker, though.
Yeah, not for any punitive damages. Like the government will pay for your funeral if you die.
God. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They've
And
set aside 75 mil for that.
that's super sweet of them. Thanks.
Yeah. At the federal level. So
So
sorry, continue.
that's totally fine. That's really just added into the grossness. Okay. So you have the government who is also exempt from you being able to go after. However, okay, let's just say if my job said, okay, this is a mandatory thing, and if you don't get it, you're gone. Okay. So if let's say I'm like, well, I can't go without my job, I can't do this, and I end up caving and saying, fine, I'll get the stupid shot to keep my job. Okay. So I get the
Mm-hmm.
stupid shot to keep my job, but something happens to me. Whether it's, I get health issues or die, whatever, you can go after my work
No,
because
they're
millionaire.
looking at making a lot of companies. Anyone that makes it mandatory, there was a proposal put. I don't know the result of that, but there
It
was
didn't
talks.
make it.
It didn't.
But
Well, so
see,
interestingly, Australia is going hog wild with insanity and totalitarianism. And interestingly, the Australian court just ruled and said that companies mandating vaccination would have to accept liability for adverse outcomes. Now, but for what it's worth, what does that mean? That's vague, right? Because we're
Yeah,
seeing already
yeah.
issues with people being like, well, I had an adverse outcome and nobody believes me, or everybody keeps saying it has nothing to do with the vaccine, even though it happened the next day, or, stuff like that,
I'm
right?
sure it would be one
Again,
hell of a fight to even prove it, for one.
of
They'd take you through
course,
the
right?
frickin' ringer, 100%.
Well, and that's the thing. And I asked my company, like I sent a letter in and I was like, I have these questions. You're telling me I have to do this. Who will be liable if something goes wrong? And they said they wouldn't put it in writing, but they said to me in a telephone call that if something went wrong, I could use the short and long term disability benefits through the company. But look, they're administered by a third party, huge corporate group that has to validate things. So even though my doctor, who takes care of me regularly and has known me for years, said that my doctor was like telling me 6 months ago that I should go on a stress leave. And I was like, no, it's not going to change anything. And so, but still this third party company has to validate that. And then they're just like, no, because your doctor didn't fill out this box, get lost.
Yeah. Well, and that's
So what
really
are
all
they
it
going to do
takes.
if I get vaccine injured, right? They're just going to be like, no, that's not valid. Get out of here.
Well, and the I think the psychosis, and I'm okay. Like I've noticed I fell into the trap of almost trying to prove, hey, it's the vaccines do work for most people. There are also some people that cannot get it. So instead of, and I think like, and I like I said, I've fallen into the trap of, well, there should be exemptions. No, 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 because, and I brought this up on another podcast. It's Donald Trump wrote the book on this. It's the big ask. You put your opponent on the defensive by making a overly compensating statement. Everyone needs to get vaccinated. Whoa, everyone is immediately on the back foot, on the defensive, trying to push that line back. So, okay, well, we need to carve out religious exemptions. We need to carve out medical exemptions. We need to carve out certain industry exemptions. Okay, so we can push back, but for the general population, they are going to be mandated to do this. So, okay, well, we got what we wanted. We just didn't get everything. I'm happy with that.
But see,
Like, not me. I'm not personally, but
Mhm.
what
but
I
that
find really gross, though, is the fact that the pharmaceutical companies are off the hook. The government is off the hook, but the government is forcing employers to force their employees to do it. But then the employers, if something were to happen, then they can go after the employers. And the government's like, haha, hands are clean, bitches. We're going to force
But
you to
that's
do it so you can take the fall.
Trudeau's campaign focused on promising that he was going to table legislation that would protect employers from wrongful dismissal cases and general legislation for firing people for not getting vaccinated, and that he was going to table legislation to protect them from getting in trouble for any adverse effects. Like, so they're basically trying to create a situation where literally no one will have any liability for you at all. And
no
the big,
recourse.
right. And
Yeah.
then I don't want to hear that we have public health care. Like, I'm sorry, I see our public health care. I see our public health care system, and I have not found it to be amazing for me. You need some surgery, you need to get a cast or something. Like, it's good. It's working. That's fine, but personally, I don't have a ton of faith in this public health care system. And I see how slowly it works. Like, especially right now, my mom's unwell, and seeing her struggle just to get like simple things and how disorganized they are and stuff is really eye opening,
It's really
Yeah.
good for things like pharmaceuticals and stuff, like people who are on
Sure.
medications. Yeah, our healthcare system is awesome. But
Yeah.
I don't know
and
about
Those
whether
for
to
things are
use that
fine.
word,
no,
but
But I'm not gonna look at, like, for me, it's not even so much like when I look at it, I'm in the prime of my earning years in my career, right? And if I get hurt right now and I get put onto disability payments, like, short term, fine, maybe I'd have some company coverage. But after that, long term disability, that's just EI.
yeah.
The maximum I can get for that is like $900 biweekly. I'm not trying to be a dick, but that's not close to what I make as a
And
salary.
well, and this
Yeah.
is like so I have 3 different articles pulled up right now. So this was from November 1st. More than 3,000 unvaccinated healthcare workers in BC are on unpaid leave.
Mhm.
So yeah, as of Monday, since they didn't get vaccinated, 3,325 healthcare workers,
Yep.
or about 2.6% of the workers, have put on unpaid leave.
But we're
Because
in
they're
a
not
healthcare
vaccinated.
crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. During a
Oh.
healthcare crisis. Yeah. Ontario did the same thing.
Yeah.
Another one from the National Post. Up to 27,000 federal public servants missed deadline to affirm they have COVID vaccination. Okay, here's another one from CTV News. More than 1,700 fully vaccinated people got COVID-19 in Ontario. So we were told, get vaccinated, it'll protect you, everything will be fine.
Mhm.
So now we're seeing the shift from extremely rare breakthrough cases won't happen, it'll never happen, you don't need to worry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now we're seeing, our healthcare system is already strained. And in terms of, say, like your mom's case, well, in terms of ICUs, how about all the stuff that, like, cancer treatment, flus, major illnesses do not stop because COVID happened. Like, people still develop problems.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cancer is a motherfucker. Alzheimer's, whatever, diabetes, like a
Hip
dialysis.
replacement, knee
Name it.
replacements. So
Sick
people are
people.
literally in
Yeah.
pain and they can't
Heart
get surgeries.
attacks. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
those people get put into ICUs. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, we're gonna fire these healthcare workers. This is why, like, I think it's no longer about health. I think it's about having to maintain a lie, or if I want to be ultimately cynical, it's about compliance.
Yep.
It's about control and compliance. Yeah.
That's exactly where
Um,
I'm going with that. 100%.
yeah. Yeah. And I think that actually ties in to those topics about modern day aristocracy and
Mhm.
serfdom and modern day human sacrifice, which is
Yep.
still happening in our culture. Like, I'm not a fucking martyr. Like, I'll survive. I'm not going to be canonized or anything, but I'm a human sacrifice within my company.
Yep.
I'm put out as a threat to others. Like, I'm a severed head hanging on a pike at the gate.
Yep.
You know?
If you do not comply, you're next.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know, look how easily we'll get rid of you, right?
Yeah. Think of if anyone thinks of the story of Vlad the Impaler, to his citizens, well, he was ruthless, but there was no crime. Crime stopped with Vlad the Impaler. Robberies, poverty was ended by Vlad the Impaler. What's Transylvania was invaded, he scared people away because the roads were lined with heads. That's how he ruled with an iron fist. And for any of
he
you,
was a sick dog. Yeah.
So for any of you Warhammer nerds, think of what was the Primarch? Oh shit, I'm forgetting his fucking name now. I have his book. The Night Stalker. What the fuck was his name?
Richard Ramirez?
No. No, it's fucking dork ass name. Warhammer.
Yeah, I'm like, Canadian serial killers.
Big serial killers for 100, please.
Yeah.
What was his name?
I don't know.
He was so I guess how the story goes. So in Warhammer, there's these people that are called Primarchs. So they're like the leaders. They're like the strongest of these groups. And so how this guy ended up becoming, he, because these like space marines are considered, like, there's like space marines in the Warhammer universe are already like superhumanly strong. Like they are literally like weapons of war. That is their sole purpose, is to fight. And so a level above that would be their Primarch, which is what emulates what they are supposed to be. So this what the fuck was his fucking name? It's bugging the shit out of me.
Google it.
Not Craig Arquebus, is it?
No. The series is called it's the Night Lords, but it was was it the Void Stalker?
Well, that's the mashup of
something curse.
What you said, right?
But so, I think his story is very similar to like how something curse. Fuck. But anyways, that was his kind of thing, because these space marines had such immense power, and then the Primarchs being above them, they could tell almost when crimes and stuff were happening. And so he would actually hunt down people that were breaking laws, and he would end up killing them. So in a weird, I don't know, analogy type of way, that's kind of what's happening, I think, with like the COVID type of stuff. So
yeah,
if you just force the unvaccinated out, so like if a company has 1,000 employees and 100 of them aren't going to get vaccinated, well, what do? You fire them and say, hey, look, we're 100% vaccinated. Yeah, but what about all those people that you left, you put on a stake and stabbed it into the side of the road?
Yeah.
Oh, no, don't worry about them.
And you sacrifice them like on this altar of this dogmatic belief. Like, I can say I'm not like an anti-vaxxer, like I've said before. Personally, I don't want this shot, but I'm ride or die for the healthcare. Like, go nuts and go get your healthcare and take your vaccines if you want them. And I'm glad for people to have them available, but I really don't like, this has turned into a dogma, into a doctrine, into a set of it's like, I don't know if you've ever gotten to know someone who came from, say, a Jehovah's Witness or maybe Mormon upbringing.
Yes.
But they because of the way those churches are set up, they sort of live looking over their shoulder.
Yeah.
And that's what this feels like, that there's, this, when you get people one-on-one, they're often like, oh yeah, no, I'm not worried about it. Like, we don't need masks, or, that kind of thing. Right. But it's like, they all still keep it up out in public, because they're worried that the telescreen is going to hear them, or I don't know what, but
it's like in 1984.
yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what the isolation has done too. These are signs, like, I don't know if you read, there was an open letter from Mounties for Freedom.
Yep.
And one of the things they identified in there was like, we're taught to see the signs of an abusive relationship with an imbalance of power. And that's what's happening here. Like, these are the steps of this, is that you isolate people from those that they care about and those that care about them. You make it difficult for them to have private, intimate conversations with people in closeness, and you control everything they're doing and make them feel bad and guilty all the time, right? Like,
Conrad Kurse, that was his name. He was the Night Hunter. Sorry.
Conrad Kurse. No, I'm glad we got it out there. I felt the need too. I could feel.
But yeah, it's very true.
So it's like we're doing these rituals, these ritualistic practices. And I don't know, does that tie in to the fact, like, does this show us that we are these visceral beings who need ritual in our lives?
I think we do. I think a lot of people look to be subservient. Like, we're naturally like structured beings.
No dog in the pack really wants to be leader either. They feel nervous about it, right? They're like, well, I guess if you're not going to take charge.
There's some people that want that. They want the control, and I think the scariest thing, it's not necessarily that someone is a leader, and I don't think it's bad that someone is a leader. Yeah, if there is no one steering the ship, then it just, nothing happens. But when it's now, what's the right way to say it? When they see as though what they're doing, even though it's, well, what would normally be considered irreprehensible, but through their eyes, they're doing it for the right reason. Like, I don't think people in Nazi Germany, sorry, I rag on the whole Nazi Germany. Okay, let's look at Cambodia. Pol Pot, the Khmer Rouge, same thing. They were trying to reunify, to bring back a sense of pride, to make the country better, to try and instill an ideology.
Like, all of these places had a good plan at the start, right? Like,
hell is, well, how does the expression go?
The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or I think also with the lack of intent, like, just sort of bopping along in inertia, right?
Yeah.
Or when politicians are just mostly trying to get in their 2 terms. Like, these are, I say to my doctor, I don't want to lose my job. Can't you do something? Can't you write me an exemption or something? She says to me, we don't have any guidance on that. All we're told is to push this vaccine. I don't want to lose my job.
Yeah.
And neither does the person above me. And honestly, most of our elected officials also don't. Because what do they have in their back pocket?
Yeah. Well, and it's so, it's so weird. And I like, we've talked about, like Johnson & Johnson is being sued. One of the biggest lawsuits in North American history was paid up by Johnson & Johnson.
Pfizer.
One of the, well, there's Pfizer. Johnson
has
Johnson,
the biggest. Pfizer has the biggest, and Johnson Johnson's right behind them. Actually, you're right.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, for giving what was it? Ovarian cancer, that they hid research information that their talcum powder was causing ovarian cancer.
Oh my god!
Yeah, and they were shaking it on babies. It was in their baby powders. Oh, they've had tons about their soaps and stuff too, right? Carcinogens in their soaps and stuff.
They hid it.
Yeah, what was that heartburn drug, Zantac? So Zantac has an active ingredient, ranitidine, and when that goes in your body and mixes with water, it becomes carcinogenic.
Are you
And
serious?
it caused, yes. How many people took Zantac? For
Hi,
how long?
me. Sorry, that's I was like, are you
It's
serious? Oh my god.
there. So
I
though it's been recalled,
oh my
and it's
god.
associated, especially the ultra, like the heavy duty Zantac.
Extra strength.
Yeah, but it's associated with bladder cancers in particular, like cancers of like soft tissue membranes, like
Oh
the
my
bladder
god.
that regenerate a lot.
I literally took that shit daily for years because I have really bad acid reflux and I was too stubborn to go on prescription medication because I'm like, no, no, this is working for me. I don't want to go on something prescription because then it's
Mhm.
stronger. I don't want to give my body something strong. And
Sure.
then if it gets worse, then what am I going to do? Right.
Yeah.
So I was on Zantac for years and I took that
Well,
shit every fucking day.
they hit it. It's proven. Like
Awesome.
there are
Thanks.
class action lawsuits. Google it. Get yourself some class action payout. It's serious. Like there's tons of proof that they deliberately destroyed data and hid data, showing that this was a problem multiple times. That stuff was on the market for like 25 years.
How
Yep.
can
Well,
anybody honestly like there's so many situations that involve things like this, about them hiding things, the Johnson and Johnson thing, shit that
They
Nestle's done,
recall like
all
8
this.
products per
How
day.
do people literally sleep at night? Like I don't understand how money is more important than lives. Like they're actively
it's
destroying people's lives and killing people and they just like I got money, bitches. Like they don't fucking care. Like how?
so this speaks to
Sociopath.
a larger problem of, like, I'll say this that is like the definition of like crony capitalism.
Mhm.
Unchecked, unmarked profits at all expenses. It is literally
Yeah.
putting pennies before people. And just to make a profit, you are willing to hide information. There's the stuff with Project Veritas and Pfizer, the
Mhm.
whistleblowers coming out. You know, and to see people championing it, cheering for it, I think, like, that is that should be, well, that should be terrifying.
Yeah.
I'm for, like, I'm a big fan of, I'm a big fan of the scientific method of challenging the idea, challenging the orthodoxy. For the
Yeah,
longest
yeah.
time, the earth
Isn't
was
that
flat.
like old school Socrates?
Yeah,
Question it. Keep
yeah,
testing and questioning it. You'll only strengthen your hypothesis,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Like, if your thing is that good, and then, it's just like any good salesman, or any good product, the product will sell itself. Any good salesman will believe in their product, and that should be, they'll believe it more than the consumer.
Right. Well, that's what I always said. Like, that's why I'm pissed off about losing my job. Like, if you honestly, most products are the fucking same.
Yeah.
Most stuff you buy out there, like if there are 2 or 3 options, it's the same thing. It's not that
Yeah.
different. If it's in your price range and it does what you want, there aren't that many options. Like especially for some of the bigger stuff, like what kind of drywall you use, or what brand of vinyl siding you're going to buy to put on your house, right? Or what brand of stucco, what kind of glue. Nobody gives a shit, you
Well, but
know.
it's all
Nobody cares.
marketing. There was
Right, but that's the
a
thing. So it's
Yeah,
about the service you're going to get, right?
yeah.
Like it's about service. It's about the peripherals. It's not about the actual product. And I don't need to take people out to concerts or sports games or golfing or lunch or dinner or drinking for them to buy the product if it's a good product and
Yeah.
I'm giving good service,
Well, and
right?
there was who was, I can't remember the father of consumerism. This guy, I
Are
can't
you
remember
talking
his name.
about the guy who started the shopping centers and
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah,
Um, what's his name? Shoot,
Ed,
the shopping
Edward
centers are still called after him. It starts with an S.
Oh, well,
Selfridge.
there's
Is that who you mean?
no. Well,
Selfridge?
there. Edward Bernays was
Okay,
the
I'm
father
thinking of
of
someone else.
consumerism. So
Okay.
he took marketing to the absolute highest degree. So he started pushing the idea of marketing things to children. Like you'll see, like
Mm-hmm.
iPhones aren't marketed to adults; they're marketed to kids.
Mm-hmm.
And an insane amount of stuff is marketed towards kids because
Yeah.
it starts planting that idea. Why do you think so many kids are? Oh, I need an iPhone.
Oh my God,
Oh yeah.
right?
Why do you think even kids are like asking for TikTok and
Mhm.
like those kinds of apps on their iPhone? You know.
Yeah, so
Um.
so there was a book by Edward Bernays. I can't remember what his father was. But well, this is from Wikipedia, so I know Wikipedia is a little sketchy at best at
It's
times. But
media. Yeah.
yeah, so he was an American pioneer in the field of public relations and propaganda, referred to as in his obituary as the father of public relations. He was named one of the 100 most influential Americans of the 20th century. His best known campaigns includes a 1929 effort to promote female smoking by branding cigarettes as feminist torches of freedom, and his work for the United Fruit Company in the 1950s. So maybe like the Banana Republic, or the Banana Wars,
You
connected to the
know,
CIA. Yeah, so this
do you guys fall for marketing? Does it
absolutely,
influence you?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't really. I have to admit, I often couldn't even tell you, like if I was watching regular television programming and an ad came on, I wouldn't even be able to tell you right after it was over what it was about.
It's not necessarily that. It's not that, oh, whatever, you need a new car. It's not that, okay, I'm not looking for that. And I've done this because when I was looking at getting our foundation done, I was looking at, oh, well, this name sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Name
something like that.
recognition.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
will give you that sense that the company is well known and established, right?
yeah. Yeah. So it was something like that.
Head on,
Yeah,
apply
though that
directly
I
to the
get.
forehead. Head on, apply
Yeah,
directly to the forehead. Oh my God.
yeah,
My
Yeah.
mom ended up
right.
getting that. Every time I seen it, that commercial was stuck in my head. But that's the thing, is that things get stuck in your head and it's the familiarity of it.
Sure, and that's like the concept of Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. I'm not sure if you've read it, but
Not yet.
in there they genetically engineer everybody, and they genetically engineer you by case, so that you're genetically engineered to be, kind of slow and low IQ, and then you do certain tasks, or you're engineered to be really, really smart and do other tasks, and there's a in between. So they're all labeled by the Greek alphabet letters. So,
Yep.
but they're kept in like communal living as children, and they have recorded messages played to them constantly, all the time, all the time. With little things like they all take this sort of wonder drug called Soma all the time, and they
Mhm.
take it by the gram. So then they have a saying, "A gram is better than a dam," or like
Oh, that
I'm
gave me
so
chills.
glad to right. I'm so glad to be an epsilon. I wouldn't want to be an alpha and have to do all that work, or like and it's just constant, like all this messaging, and then they all repeat it all the time. And there's this one guy, Bernard, who doesn't want to live this way, and he just feels like he's among crazy people all the time as they
Yeah.
spoke these things to him, and he's like, I am not enjoying this. You people are actually happy and okay with this, um and he kind of can't believe it. But that when we hear these repeated phrases, right? Like like the best way out of this is to get vaccinated, or this is a
Yeah.
pandemic of the unvaccinated, or whatever. Like
It's not.
I've
Yeah.
watched,
These mantras.
yeah,
Well, yeah,
yeah,
you
and
hear it and see it everywhere you go.
and I've watched people, even in the past, say 6 weeks, I've watched people's demeanor change toward me just from that messaging. alone when it's been fine, for the year and a half prior, right? So it does have an effect, but I guess I can see that advertising has an effect on me the way you said, like in that, okay, yeah, I'd probably, I'd go middle of the road. Like I probably wouldn't go with like the name I hear all the time because I think, oh, they're going to be full of themselves and, be resting on their laurels or whatever, right? I'm not going to go with the place I never heard of, but I'll go with the, middle of the road guy who occasionally pays for a commercial on the local radio
so,
or,
It's funny you say that because you are a direct victim. I shouldn't say victim. You are literally the a typical consumer. So there was a study between, I can't remember what the study was actually called, but it had to do with products. So let's say if you were looking for, I don't know, let's just a microphone since it's in front of me. So you might have one microphone that say it's $60. And it's an okay microphone. Okay, it gives you its information. But then there's another microphone, say that's $90. Okay, well, I don't need no, maybe. Okay, I kind of like the features on it. But most of the time, in fact, I will say flat out, I wouldn't say I fell for it, but okay, I went for something that wasn't cheap. I didn't go for something that was super expensive, but I went for something in the middle of the road.
Yeah. The average middle class person, right?
It's like it's something like marketing of 3 or something like that. That you won't people will when given 3 options and in terms of price or say in features, well, I just need a microphone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but this microphone, you can change the diaphragm. It could be a cardioid mic. It can be a bullet mic.
What? It has RGB? I'm on it.
Yeah, but that could, it's a feature that, okay, I don't need those, but that is a nice feature to have.
Yeah.
So, and then if there's something, well, it doesn't have RGB lighting, or maybe it doesn't, you can't change the way that the microphone picks things up, but it has RGB lighting. Okay, I can settle with that one. It's typically that. And also, most people, when they're given a product, so if you just needed a stereo, okay, well, you just need a stereo. You just need 2 speakers and maybe a radio antenna. Okay. But most people, because of social pressure, will tend to buy the one with more features, even though they will never use those features because of the fear of someone. Someone saying, well, why didn't you? Oh, I got a similar one and it has a tape deck and it has a CD player. Oh, and you can load MP3s into it. A lot of old technology, a lot of old words I'm using here, people, but
well, no, I get what you mean, but for me, I have to say, like, I tend to be quite a pragmatist and I tend to be pretty methodical with stuff like that. So if I need something, like, I don't know, recently we had an accident and wrote off our vehicle and we had to get another vehicle. And I'm like, well, my criteria are, I don't want to get into another payment. So let's not spend more than what we got out of the other vehicle. And I want a van for 7 passengers because we got kids. And I really miss having all-wheel drive. So if you find something that has all-wheel drive, that'd be super great. And then I'm like, I just look at my partner who loves vehicles and like watches those like vehicle review videos on YouTube all the time.
Oh.
He just loves vehicles. He'll be able to tell you what the trim package on like every year of like, I don't even, he'll be like,
cars?
Not like, yes, but he'll also know it about like super boring regular cars.
Okay.
Like he'll be like, oh, that's the Toyota, that's a 97 Toyota Corolla. The XT trim package had this and this. And, like one of the cool features was,
unless they're muscle cars, I wouldn't give a shit. Personally, I'd be like, oh yeah.
He knows all that stuff, right? So anyway, so that's it for me. I'm like, other than that, the rest of it's your pick. I don't care. Like, I'm not fussy about the color of it or whether people think it's cool or, anything like that. I'm the eternal pragmatist. And similarly, if I need something fancy, I don't give a shit. I'll pay for it. Like I draft. I have had computers that gamers are jealous of for years and years and years. And I'm like, well, I need the graphics processing. I need the power. I'll open up like 5, 6 AutoCAD drawings and I'll have like a bajillion tabs open online because I'm researching something. And then I'll have like 7 400-page PDFs open. Like, I just need my computer to be a workhorse, you know? So
Yeah.
It's like my
I don't,
computer.
and like, I don't care that it costs me, you know, $2,500 to get a new laptop. Like, I don't care. That's what I need. So
Yeah,
I
but
don't bat an
it's
eye.
more the idea. So let's say, like,
Yeah.
like just your standard Toyota Corolla. Okay, well, it's got drum brakes for some reason, and it's a shitty inline four, and well, the air conditioning works kind of, but it pumps out heat, and the seats it does everything it needs to do. Okay, well, but then they show you the top model Toyota Corolla. Oh, it's got the sport tires, and it has a room for you to cool your water bottles in, and all these little features. Like, okay, well, I don't really need that. Do you have something a little bit cheaper? Oh, well, this one it has the sport package, but we can actually have similar features to the high end one, but it's trimmed back a little bit. Okay, they just sold you on that middle car. That's like, it's so you don't even see it. They gave you an option of 3, you pick the one in the middle.
See, and
It happens
that I would
time and
say
time again.
is more so you 100%. I mean, for me personally, I am the what my ex used to call me, the cheap Polak, but I go for the cheap shit.
Yeah.
I go
No, you don't.
for
Not anymore. Not
oh,
anymore.
hold on. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish. I go for the cheap stuff. Now, I always look at the prices and I'm like, yeah, I can get this better, or I can get this, and this is just whatever. This is all I need, and I'll just take that. However, there are some things I will go middle for. I don't normally go high end for. Um, there are some things that I have tried cheaper that I have noticed, okay, well, the cheaper I'm spending more money on because it's shit and I have to keep replacing it. So in certain aspects, I'll go middle to get a better quality of something, but the majority of the things I tend to go cheaper. Even when I'm buying things that are more like environmentally friendly, those ones I go more the cheaper ones instead of the super, super expensive ones. You know what I mean? Like I'll kind of go for the lower end to the middle ground. So I think I sway between low and middle. I try to stay away from the high end. There are some high end tastes I like, but I don't find them practical. I can't do it.
So there was so I guess I had a couple articles pulled up. So I don't know. Did you see? Have you been following any of the G20 stuff, Amy?
A little bit. Makes me want to throw up though. So,
I know nothing
or
about it.
oh
So
gosh, well, it's just basically the globalist assholes talking about how to make us more subservient. If you
yeah.
want a little summary.
So the one article that I have pulled up, and I guess to this will tie into the I don't know, I guess like the autocrats and the kind of
The
globalization
serfdom, the
movement.
general,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
people
So
as property, chattel
yeah, yeah,
status, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like, hey, those are all words in certain old country names for.
Mhm.
Yeah, anyways, so from CTV News, so G20 endorses global corporate minimum tax. So they're looking at the move by the group of 20, so the G20, to some in Rome, was for a. See, they were showing initially a 20% income tax to corporations worldwide. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so it says right here. Yeah, so the deal fell short of U.S. President Joe Biden's original call for a 21% minimum tax. So they settled on a 15% minimum tax for all corporations.
What do regular citizens pay as income tax? Pay?
Anywhere between, I think, just income tax alone. Like, personally, I think you shouldn't have to pay income tax, period.
No, it's bullshit. That's bullshit. Or get rid of sales tax.
Yeah.
Like, pick one. Pick one,
No, we pay a lot of tax.
We pay a shit ton of tax, especially when you look at what we pay. And like, don't even get me started on the fact that I can't get exempted from taxes on my kids' clothes after they're 12. I don't have to clothe them from 12 to 18. That's not
right.
We don't do that anymore.
No, I guess at the age of 12 they can get their own job now. Yeah.
At the ripe age of 12, young fellows begin to go nude. Like, I don't get it, right? I'm like, what? Like, those just cost more now, not less.
Well, and look at what happened during COVID. I remember walking, I was in Ontario, and they had clothes blocked off for children. You could not buy clothes for kids. Like,
anyone
adults,
2 and over.
okay.
Nope.
Yeah. They did it here too. They did it like that you could only buy winter clothing at one point.
Like,
it was horse shit. Horse shit. Like, I don't know about anybody else, but when you have kids who enter, especially as soon as they start entering in their teen years, fuck, do they grow like weeds. So like literally, like my kids went from, say they're wearing a size 10 men's shoe. A month later, they were outgrown and had to get an 11 already. Like within a month.
Yeah.
So like, that's the thing. Like people grow. So what are you supposed to do? Sorry, kid. I guess you're just going to have to crunch up your toes or go barefoot or I don't know. Because,
Also,
you know, COVID hit. We're not allowed to buy you any shoes or clothes because apparently it's not a necessity. Like what the cuss?
What if you're low income and you don't have that much clothing?
Right?
Too, right? Now you rip your pants or something and like you seriously need pants now. Like,
I just so I was looking at I ended up posting this question on Retard Book. Sorry, shitty Facebook.
That was better.
So the corporate
the metaverse.
The metaverse. Oh god. So corporate tax rate in Canada is 38%, or if you file for an abatement, it can be 28%. Most an abatement. I looked up what an abatement was. Abatement.
It ends up coming out to like only 10% in the end, I think.
Well, and that's just on. That's on. So in the corporate world, you are taxed on what is left over, not what you make. What is left over.
Yeah,
so if you make
reductions.
Yeah. So if a company makes $10 million, they don't get taxed on that 10 million, which like
if their revenue, are you saying if their annual revenue is 10 million for the last year, and then their annual expenses are 8 million, leaving a profit overall of 2 million, they're only taxed on that profit.
Yeah. And most of the time that 2 million is written off somewhere else. Whether it's in bonuses, whether it's in community stuff, which I'm a fan of that type of stuff. But so in Canada, for a small business, the income tax, again, and I think people get really confused. Like, I think everyone should be a corporation. Personally, I think everyone should have a corporation. So for a small business,
contractor, you mean? Basically, like
maybe.
But I think it would do people well. You know what the biggest thing is that I think would be great about that? People would realize how much of their money is going to taxes. Because we get told we have an hourly wage, right? Right. And then we look at our take home pay, and those numbers are all separated, right? It's your CPP and your EI and your, this and that, and your source this, and so it's all separated numbers. And we don't really like to look at that. We just like to look at that bottom line number, right?
Yep.
And what's my take home pay? And that's really what we think about as how much money we make. Often people don't talk about how much money they make in a year. In fact, I'm shocked. Some people don't understand the difference between gross and net.
Yeah.
Like grown-ups with big boy pants.
Yeah.
That's kind of surprising.
And like when I say gross and net, back and forth, and I start to realize, you don't know what I'm talking about at all. Do you need me to? And again, like if you missed it in school or didn't realize how important it would be, I totally get that. You know, but you're right. People just don't understand at all. Or just trying to explain to people inflation is tax.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tax on the poor. So, for anyone that doesn't know, the difference between gross and net, and this is how I remember it. Gross, think of like an ocean. Gross is the amount of fish that you catch in your net. Your The actual net income is the amount of fish that have slipped through and what you are now left with. That's my shitty way, even though I use
An
net
interesting
in.
analogy.
So one is how much you catch. What is left over is what you get to keep. I think, and even if you looked at like for corporations, they make deals that you and like, well, I don't know. I'm sure I wouldn't be able to make these deals even having a business of, well, you don't have to pay property tax for so many years. You don't have to pay employment tax. You don't have to pay these any type of taxes for a couple of years to entice companies to come here. So they'll do stuff like that. Well, they're going to offset those costs somewhere. So it like that. That is government and corporations working together. Where, well, I'm not afforded that same privilege.
Well, no, and think about it. It's literally these companies are bold face. The government's like, we know you defrauded us as the government directly, and also defrauded corporations, and also
Mhm.
defrauded other governments and corporations in other countries, and also bribed people like a whole bunch. But hey, do you guys want private access to a new multi-million-dollar tender that we're putting out for a great big public job?
Yeah.
Like, I just I don't get it. And we all stand here and are like, and just shrug.
Yeah. Well,
And
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 if you
on
look
the
at, oh, sorry, continue. Sorry.
no. Well, I was just gonna say, and on the one hand, the dichotomy is that people shrug and sort of calmly accept that the government is corrupt and that there's nothing they could do about stuff like, SNC Lavalin, in case people don't realize to what I'm referring there
Yep.
with my backhanded comments about
Mhm.
defrauding
Yep.
government. But so people on the one hand accept it, but then on the other hand are just willing to blindly obey because it's easier.
Yeah. It's, well, what can I do? Oh, I'm just a nobody.
Mhm.
Wow. And this is so one other thing. So I pulled up an article. So this was from the Toronto Star, and so it was in
Is it on
regards
the list?
to.
Sorry.
Oh no, yeah, it is on the list. So sorry,
Yeah, I
not
see
the one from Toronto. Well, this one's from CTV News. So Ontario again is going to raise their minimum wage to $15 an hour.
Yeah.
Me
And
personally,
then
I'm not a
annually,
fan. I'm not a fan of minimum wages. I think minimum wages are bullshit. I don't think minimum wages should exist. Period.
I'm open to being convinced.
So
Changed my mind.
Yeah.
okay.
Very
So
open.
I get the example I always use is, so let's say Safeway. If Safeway has to pay all their workers $15 an hour in order to compensate, um, well, Safeway isn't going to eat that cost. No company anywhere will ever eat that cost, or they will eat that cost to shut down any competition.
Sure.
So
It's the same as carbon tax. Right.
yeah, yeah. So, big companies are totally fine. Like in the transportation industry, there are companies that will literally run at a loss. They will run trucks at a loss. So they're losing money in order to shut down competition, to price out competition. Most people cannot afford to run trucks for a year at a loss.
The
A
Jeff
truck in
Bezos way.
Yeah, yeah. Or the Bill Gates way of just buying everything out, and oh well, there's no competition because I destroyed everything in my wake.
Sure,
But
that's why we
so
have monopoly laws.
yeah. So let's say Safeway has to pay, the stock boy, everyone. They have to pay everyone that you interact with. They have to pay them at least $15 an hour to start.
Mhm.
So that $15 an hour is going to
Yeah,
be
they don't
passed
take it
off.
out of their profit, right?
But they're never going to. Never
No,
going to. So,
no. Unless the
fif-
government makes a law for that, and then that's fucked up.
well, yeah, but that's always been my problem is government has so many, like, they just keep like turning dials. They have to, we need to get involved in the housing market. That's not your job. Your job isn't to control the housing market. Oh, well, we need to get involved in how people are paid. That's not your job. I don't know why the government is involved in a contract I have between someone else. Government should have no place in that. So in terms of minimum wage, it 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 sounds good. New York ended up passing a $15 minimum wage. It all the, bars, a lot of restaurants closed. A lot of small mom and pop retail stores shut down because they said we don't make a lot of money. We like literally if we could pay them more, we would, but we can't. And so
It's tough because it's stacked up with all these other corporate ails,
mhm,
right, that come before that. And
yeah,
this is all part of, going back to this aristocracy, serfdom, human sacrifice. These small businesses are being sacrificed at the
yep.
heels of these large corporate gods.
Oh,
Well, who
100%. All the small places have to be shut down, but we'll let Walmart and Canadian Tire, whatever, stay open and people can
Yeah,
line up and not social distance and do all this other shit. But all the young or all the smaller companies, no, 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 you got to shut down.
yeah. Too bad for you, private proprietors.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
100%.
and they basically shut down everything that hasn't been heavily corporatized, right? Like as far as industry goes, right? 'Cause they shut down like hair salons, tattoo parlors, and
those are all
um,
small mom and pop shops. Those are
right,
literally the
Yeah.
small business that you're taxing or shutting down.
hmm yeah, and the massage therapy, but places like all those kinds of things is what they were really going hard on. Also, like alternative medicine, right?
Mhm.
Like for a
Oh,
while
yeah.
there, they weren't letting people do acupuncture, like and stuff. Like, well, they come
Physiotherapy,
in.
chiropractor. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty crazy, and that just kind of feeds in to those worries that there's this elitist group trying to, prevent people from accessing true health or whatever. Like, I don't
Mhm.
know if that's what I believe, but like,
I'm beginning to
there's
believe it.
the current paradigm does not in any. If you just look objectively, the current paradigm and what we function in does not in any way like protect the end user in
No.
medicine. Like it's a clown show. And especially watching and looking at the way they've looked at this stuff for kids age 5 to 11 for the approvals in the US and
Mhm.
the design of the studies, like they're really cherry picking and then cross referencing stuff that doesn't cross reference and using control factors that don't make sense. And, you know, uh, and then just literally saying, one guy is on video saying, well, we just have to start giving these out to see how safe they are. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
That was insane. I seen that news clipping or whatever when they're talking
Yeah.
about, like, for the kids from 5 to 11,
Mhm.
about starting to administer them, and they're asking, like, about the safety of them and stuff like that, and just like, "Well, we just have to administer them. Like, we just have to start giving them out to see, what happens." It's like, "Are you fucking kidding me? You're
Well,
using
and
Yeah.
kids as guinea pigs?"
and then this
Everyone.
has been, but so with, like, I understand. Okay, yes, with science, you like the only way you can test is, well, you have to stick it in something and see what happens. That's how science works. That
Mhm.
I get. But if you're looking at the information, like I just seen the Q3 earnings from Pfizer was released. Q3. So this is the last 3 months.
Mhm.
They've made, it was something like $143 billion dollars
Oh my god, I
Yeah.
just threw up
with a
in my
B.
mouth.
$143 billion in 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, and everyone's just, how was it? How was it said in Star Wars? This is how the Republic falls to thunderous applause.
Yeah.
Everyone just kind of cheers this on. But so I guess I think McDonald's makes a great argument for why minimum wage is bullshit. Think of your last time when you went to McDonald's and something was missed. Was that worth $15?
No.
So, when you miss when your fries are old and soggy, and the kid just is giving you attitude because they just don't give a shit. They're just here just to collect a paycheck and they want to go home in 8 hours. When your order is always messed up. Okay, $15 an hour. When you go to Walmart and the wonderful people that seem to greet you and can't be bothered to help you, remember, $15 an hour. Remember
Oh,
that.
like that girl from that pizza place that didn't even serve us. She was like spending her whole time on her phone and we were the only customers in there. Psh,
Yeah. $15 an hour. I am
fuck
paying
that.
$15 an hour for someone to sit on their phone and not do their job.
Well, so I'm going to just throw another perspective. I don't completely disagree with you. I have two things I want to say. One is that consistently through history, for literally thousands of years, like Socrates was like, the young people don't respect their elders anymore.
Yeah.
And they're lazy and they don't do a good job of things, right? Like, so
Yeah.
this is something we habitually do as the older generation, watching younger generation come up through something, right? And then we're like, oh, my boss would have given me shit if they would have caught me doing that. And the thing is probably if this kid's boss were to catch them doing that, they'd get shit too, right? And like,
Yeah.
that's how we learn to grow up and be older and, be more mature and more responsible and then earn more money. Personally, I'm not really opposed to people making $15 an hour. I think that there should be some kind of thing though, where like, I wouldn't want to govern how much a company could mark up their product, right? Like the profit margins are the profit margins. It's none of my business. But maybe there could be some kind of governing saying that like the company can only account for so much of an expense towards wages or something as a claim on their expense. I don't know what, but because for what it's worth, I wouldn't work for less than like $30 an hour, really.
Well, exactly.
Like, where I'm at in my life right now. And even that, I'm kind of like, well, is that like going into work steady for a regular job? Or if we're talking about like freelancing, well, I'm probably going to bill myself out at like 60, $70 an hour,
Yeah.
For my time and overhead and stuff, right? So in that way, I don't resent like a 20-year-old making $15 an hour. Like I'm not mad about it. Inflation's a bitch and stuff costs a lot more. Like I used to make $6 an hour and pay $500 a month rent
Mm.
that I split with someone else. So like $250.
Well, and so
Yeah.
like that argument is, I would look at it as, so you understand, like, I'm sure when you first started working, you didn't know anything. You didn't understand how your paycheck worked. Most people don't understand how their paycheck works. I ended up learning a lot of this information in terms of, finance. Well, I have to understand this stuff now, especially with being a business owner, because I can't fuck over anyone.
Oh, see, my parents were
So,
really strict about me understanding that shit. So I got a job when I was 13. I telemarketed for the Winnipeg Sun.
Nice.
but
Yeah,
so,
we didn't
but
have
so,
that
yeah.
growing up.
Yeah.
So I guess my internal struggle is, I am very against unions. I shouldn't say I'm very against. I'm never sure of anything, but with the information that I have, I think unions create a lot of lazy workers. I think I've seen it way too many times that people just go, I'm here to do this and only this, and I will never do anything more. My lunch is at 12:30. I don't care. I'm leaving.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would argue that bureaucracy is more likely to create that
That
than
and yeah,
necessarily unions specifically, or like the actual intent of unions. But
see,
unions become bureaucratized too. Is that a word?
yeah,
It
Bureaucratized?
is now.
it is now.
Anyway, it is now. I can lay it on the record.
Yeah,
They do. And so I get what you mean. Like I see that phenomenon too. And I see also where a union or HR doesn't help the worker
no,
at a
it
point.
helps the
Like,
company.
I
Yeah.
think right now, a lot of people are feeling abandoned by their unions. My partner is feeling
Mhm.
frustrated with his union in some ways, and unions are kind of maybe not necessarily stepping up for workers with these mandates and things.
No, they're
So,
definitely not.
and then I'm
Well,
kind of like, well, what the heck are you for then if you're not going to like go hard? I thought unions were supposed, I'm thinking like the old truckers unions and stuff.
yeah, they're pretty
And
much dead. Yeah.
yeah, but like, where's that stuff? I'd like to see some like union fights, maybe a street fight or something.
I want to
Like
see a
let's
dance
go.
off. Like, let's do
Oh,
this shit.
I yes, and it'll be like 99 red balloons
Yeah.
playing.
See,
Yeah.
Well, and
I at my job we have a union, and I've had to reach out to them a couple times, and honestly, it did nothing. Like
Mm,
it was a waste of my time. Like there was no end result. There was no fight in my favor. There was nothing. So,
mhm.
I mean, to me, I can understand the argument of, well, what the fuck is the point of a union? I mean, I guess in some ways they go to town halls and they fight for you for your wages and your benefits and stuff like that, which is great. But when you actually have an issue and you go to them, I don't know. They haven't, like I said, I haven't seen anything
Everything
on
has
the
good and
positive
bad,
for me.
right?
When it
Yeah.
comes to minimum wage, um, I remember when I used to work minimum wage and when minimum wage would go up, when I was young and naive, I was really excited about it. I'm like, yes, minimum wage is going up. And then as I got older and learned more about life, it's honestly, I see it now and it's just like, great. So cost of living is going up. So this is why minimum wage is going up. Neat. There's never a way for anybody to get ahead. So minimum wage is going to go up. The cost of living, cost of, everything is going to start going up, or it's already gone up. So that's why they're pushing the minimum wage to go up to try to help you out a little bit. But the funny thing is that in my job, let's just say, which is the same with a lot of other people's jobs, minimum wage goes up. My wage doesn't go up. My wage isn't going up to match how much theirs went up. So they're slowly starting to catch up. You know what I mean? And cost of living is getting more and more expensive, which means it's harder on people who are making more than that minimum wage. And there's just I don't know. To me, it's just all a bunch of bullshit. I mean, I don't think that it's a bad thing for someone to be saying, okay, these people working, I don't think that they should be making less than this. I think it helps with the potentially people, you know, people coming in and willing to do a job for $2 an hour and putting everybody else out. And like, I mean, how are you going to live? But whatever. I mean, I think it helps protect against certain things like that, and maybe help protect against, helping you be able to afford some things. But
I don't
you
Oh,
no, I don't think it has anything to do I don't think it has anything to do with actually helping anyone. Like I'm not a fan of government stepping in and saying, "Hey, you need to pay. You are mandated to pay this much to a person." Well, my expenses are very different than anyone else's expenses. Everyone's
correct.
expenses are different. And what value do you have? For me personally, I would love to tell a company, you know what? My time is irreplaceable. So I would demand $1 million an hour because that is something you will never ever ever get back. And so this will speak to a larger idea of, you know, I I understand the ideas of corporations, of generating wealth, and how to become financially independent. So the one argument I always heard was the poor will focus on money. They think money is important. The rich people find time is more important. Time is the one thing you will never, ever get back. So,
yeah, but rich people don't have to worry about money.
Well, so let's say
inflation, though, too. Like, these are usually cost of living based increases.
Yeah. Well, but I like the minimum wage. Okay, it's a feel good thing for a little while until you're back at the same thing. Okay, it doesn't matter if you increase minimum wage to $50 an hour, to 80, 100. You could set it at whatever the fuck you want. A company still needs to make a certain amount of profit because, well, first they have to pay for the building that whatever they're housing. Like, hey, for me, my upfront cost was over $250,000. For truck and trailer, I'm over 200 million. I've spent almost $200 million to get this truck and trailer.
200,000.
Oh.
200,000. Sorry.
Yeah, I was like, that's a really what kind of rig you running?
Right? It's one of those like awesome ones that look like an RV and shit. We all live in it. You know?
It's Elon Musk rocket.
Yes. But like, I totally get what you're saying, but I think there's a standard that's set, and I don't necessarily care how it's set. So, for example, there are also standards set for wages in construction sectors, right? And I don't mind there being it kind of like exchange rates almost in a way, like, well, the US dollar is worth this much, and here's what everything else is worth in comparison, just as another example, right?
Yeah.
So that you say, well, we say that like the minimum that a person working for an hour should be worth is this much money. Whether the government should legislate that or not, I'm not sure, right? I suppose they could publish a standard that everybody could be made aware of, and then individuals could be like, well, I'm not going to work for less money than that, right?
Well, and that becomes the norm.
Right. But then there are issues with people being taken advantage of. And I don't know where I stand on that, because I believe in critical thinking and stuff, but I also recognize like some people don't necessarily have the same capabilities as others, or, all kinds of factors like that. Or just like undercutting the market, right? Basically like scabbing. I don't know. Sometimes I see people advertising drafting and they're like, oh, 15 cents a square foot for custom homes. And I want to phone them up and be like, you listen here, excuse me. Like, what is get that ad down, sir? Like,
yeah,
we're talking $1.25. Like, so like I get that, but I don't know where the line is there. Like I see where you're coming from, and that we should be able to like create a market value for things. In a fair market, there should be a market value for work, for labor, right? But what if corporatism means that they take advantage of people, which is like where minimum wage legislation came from?
Yeah.
Right? In the first place.
And that is kind of my struggle in reconciling this is, how do you, I think it's more of an honest or a good faith actor. Like, my goal with this trucking company is to bring back the feelings of the old days of trucking, where the drivers are taken care of, where they are paid well, where they are treated as a valuable, because I understand that, it's a hard job, and the pay does not reflect the sacrifices that are made. And that's where, having a certain skill set, like, hey, there are people that cannot drive a car. People look at me in a semi and their mind is blown. Like, they cannot understand, how do I operate this thing? And to me, it's, I don't know, you just keep it in between the lines. Like, it's not that complicated. Like, you can't fuck that up.
Yeah, it's just driving or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently you could. Like, I don't want to drive a semi. So,
It literally changed my perspective on a lot of things. Like, I mean, way off topic here, but I've seen lots of people who you see those videos of those idiots that go in front of semis and they'll slam on their brakes and stuff like that and just like fuck with them, which really pisses me off, which is why when he went on the road after seeing videos like that, I'm like, you're getting a dash cam. Because if someone's gonna fuck with you like that, I'm taking them down. Like that's bullshit. But anyway, but like I got my class one learners and my air brake and stuff like that, so I can legally drive a semi with a supervising driver. And we own a semi. I've driven the semi. And it gave me a completely different perspective on things. Like you are literally driving something that's the size of a fucking house. And when you're driving in it, like you can see it takes up the whole freaking lane. Like you have to be so careful and your turns that you make, your brakes. Like yes, because he drives it all the time. He is so super used to it. It's like driving a small car to him. Like it's no big deal. But when you're not used to that and you get behind the wheel of that thing, it literally puts you into check. Like if someone were to go in front of a semi, slam on the brakes, you know what, dude? I can't stop this thing as fast as you can put on the brakes. And if I hit you, you're fucking dead. I'll be fine. You are going to be dead.
Yeah.
Like
I don't get why people are dumb about it. That just makes no sense to me at all.
Mad.
Why they want to screw up. Also, like if you're passing a semi, just pass. Just pass. Why are you putting your brakes on up front?
They're
Like what do you have to prove,
When people also don't realize, I think when they see semi or truck drivers driving, they think, they're just like, la la la, I'm just driving. Nay, nay. The entire time their semi is moving on the road, they are working. That is their job.
Yeah.
It's not, it's essentially the same as me sitting in front of a computer doing my job. When he is driving, that vehicle is moving, that is him working.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have time to fuck around and do all this shit. Like, this is his job.
Well, and it's a different level of responsibility when you're driving a huge vehicle like that, because you can do a lot more damage with it, right? And you're constantly scanning and checking and looking, and it's like
You'd think so, right?
of awareness. Well, but what I mean is, it becomes for some people like my dad is like what I hear you saying. Like my dad could just drive and drive and drive. It doesn't bother him at all. He spent years driving up to Thompson on Monday mornings and then driving past Thompson up to Split Lake every day, staying in hotels in Thompson, and then driving back on Friday to come home to Winnipeg for the weekend, like over and over. He drove out to Shoal Lake in Ontario for years and years too, the same way. And he just doesn't mind. He's like, well, I don't know. I just drive. Like, it's fine. I just drive the car. Like,
yeah.
Nay.
I go nuts. I'm like, that's enough podcasts for me. Thank you. I want to get out.
No, I can't. Like I literally would fall asleep. I can drive for like a few hours, but then it's just like, I don't know if it's something that was like preset in me from being a kid and us traveling to Saskatchewan all the time to visit family. That just honestly, car rides for me, I'm like a child. It's like, ooh, car ride. I get excited. And it's like, oh, I get to see the scenery and I get all excited to see the scenery. But at the same time, I have the best sleep of my fucking life when I am in a vehicle.
There's nothing in Saskatchewan. There's nothing. I hate Saskatchewan. I'm in Saskatchewan right now and I fucking hate it.
It's the hills, though, a little bit.
If you go through the valleys, yeah, it's beautiful through the valleys. But everything else, 100%. If I were just to keep driving, it just like, I don't know. I just want to sleep.
Well, it's just like Manitoba, right? It's nothing to see. But for me, like I like just a nice straight ahead highway. Like I don't want to put a lot of effort in.
Well, and so like this is kind of the issue that I, like I said, the thing that I have to kind of try and reconcile is people, like for me, I would say $1 million because my time is more valuable than anything. So, but that is obviously that is unreasonable for my experience and what value I could add to a company. That is ultimately what you are paid for. What value do you add? What is your merit to the company? This is why I'm a big, I don't know, proponent for meritocracy. What can you do? Hey, you know what? If you are the best worker at McDonald's, hey, you know what? Good. Then you naturally, like from my perspective, then you should be rising the ranks quite quickly if you are able to meet these standards. And hey, you know what? Maybe you end up moving over to corporate and you become the director of, I don't know, food innovation or of employee training. Hey, fuck yeah, good for you.
I think sometimes that happens, sometimes that works, but sometimes hard workers get pigeonholed into grunt positions where they
Yeah.
never get opportunities to move ahead to
Yeah, we need you here. I can't give you a raise or I can't move you to a different spot because we need you in this spot. You're the best person for this job.
yeah,
Okay,
and
then give me a raise. Then make it worth it.
yeah, exactly, right. And often those are people who are, good people who then end up kind of saying like, oh well, I want to help out, I do like working here, and that kind of stuff, and then they keep going. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for and like that, and that's where for minimum wage, okay, yeah, it feels good for maybe about 6 months and you're kind of back at the same position. This is why like
well,
wealthy
that's because
people,
it's
they don't hold
inflation
money.
based though,
Yeah.
right? And that's
Yeah.
why it's like, but people, the general public doesn't understand the way money and economics work, even on a very base level. Like they understand credit and whether or not they're able to buy a house or buy a car or finance a sofa at Leon's.
I don't think so. I think most
They
people don't understand
like,
like
but they
your
don't
social product system.
understand. They don't understand money like deeply. They don't
Mhm.
get it, and they especially do not understand that this inflation piece of things, how much it affects everything, and that's exactly what happens. Is it just keeps bumping, and that these elites keep making money. Well, people did understand it. Remember, like a few years ago when there was that whole 2% or 1% thing, and everybody putting up their videos and holding up their cardboard signs, being like, "I am the 99%."
We are the one. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And like the whole crash in like 08, 09 in the US with the housing market and all of this stuff. And like, it's like we've just totally forgotten about this. I was reading that in 2019, there were worker strikes all over the world,
Mhm.
all over the place.
Isn't that the
And
same
then,
year that co-op was going crazy and they were on strike for like a year?
Don't even get
yeah,
me started with fucking shitty co-op.
everything was going, everything was worker strikes all over the place. And then whoopsie doodle, we have this panini come up, and then everybody shuts down, and we're not supposed to go out in public, and we're not supposed to gather, and workers are supposed to go home, and everybody has to stand far apart, and all of this stuff, right?
But they
And
can
so
riot.
well, only over the cause du jour,
Yeah.
though, right?
Right?
Like only
Mhm.
over what is sanctioned by the cool kids.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
because that didn't do anything. That didn't spread COVID. There was no issues at all. You wanna
No,
protest?
no,
Go ahead,
No.
protest.
Hey, hold on.
Hi.
No,
sophisticated crowds.
the government said that in fact those BLM riots lowered COVID rates. So don't try and make this shit up. Government said BLM protests, Antifa protests lowered it. But if you went for
Okay,
Trump, you raised it. So
yeah.
Right?
don't
If you ride a motorbike and you went to a rally, you raised it. You
yeah.
tell people you hate grandparents. You may as well just get a knife.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
Uh,
depended on what the agenda was. If you went for this agenda,
yeah,
it's gonna lower it. If you went for this agenda, nay, nay, it's raising,
for
baby.
sure.
Such
Yeah.
bullshit.
It
Well,
was
here,
intelligent. It was this is possibly the smartest virus I think that has ever been created
It
ever.
knows if you're sitting up or standing up, like in a restaurant or that kind of
You know what?
thing.
Even COVID
Yeah.
hated Trump. Like, what?
Yeah. And also, like, this virus knows, like, that, like, if you're vaccinated, it knows that, like, you can hang out with vaccinated people, but that an unvaccinated person is dangerous, even though your vaccine is effective,
Yeah. Like that article we pulled up. It's like 36.5% of people are fully vaccinated, are now carrying the virus and can transmit it. So
Yeah. And
it's
no, go ahead.
well, and I guess to tie it back like with the aristocracy is you are like people are is anyone aware that like our governments are saying, hey, we need to lower our emissions. We need to hammer the oil and gas industry. We need to hammer all these fossil fuels. But yet more coal mines are being started in Canada. China is producing more coal mines. There was an article released. China is saying produce as much coal as possible. So
Yeah.
we have the elite class. Think Hunger Games. They're out, they're partying. Oh, our in Manitoba, our health doctor, he was caught taking pictures. And some people I seen people were like, well, what's the big fucking deal? Well, the big
Yeah.
deal is you are being told you can't go to work, you can't see your family, you can't do X, Y, and Z. If you got up from your table, where's your mask?
Oh, yeah. You kidding? There'd probably
But
be a cop standing right there going, do it. I dare you. I dare you. I got a
They're
ticket ready for you. Not that it's
right.
any of the cops, that are doing it on purpose. They're being told to do this, but
I don't agree with that. No.
don't agree with what?
I don't agree that, oh, it's the cops, or well, this is the old Nazi fucking argument. Oh, I was just following orders. I was just doing what I was told.
Yeah, they have to
Oh
not be.
shit. How about you have a moral? How about, we brought up an article about a police officer, I believe it was in Toronto. Maybe it was Montreal. I don't know. Somewhere over in, the amazing world of Ontario, but or Quebec. But so he was out playing in a park with his daughter.
Oh, yeah.
And the cops came out and they ended up finding him because they were outside when they were supposed to be in lockdown. And he goes, what the fuck is going on here? And he quit. So
Well,
you've incentivized, during like the whole Black Lives Matter thing, you incentivized cops that they are not supported by their community. They are not supported by the politicians, that write the laws that they are now being demanded to enforce. There's hesitancy with dealing with any type of minority group. They're taking a heavy-handed approach to Caucasian people while letting minority groups off. Where our prime minister kneels and says, "I am subservient. I am subservient to you." So,
This is weird. Like, why? Why does it have to be something like that at all?
well, and so the police were demoralized. And you could see that all over the United States. There are
yeah.
cops that are leaving en masse. There was
Mhm.
something, I think it was in Seattle alone. Well, I think the better one is in Chicago. Lori Lightfoot, the lady that's eyes are fucking running away from the center of her face. She was saying that, like, oh, well, we'll fire all the cops and we'll deal with the problem. And this
Yeah, good
came
luck.
up a few times because she was saying, oh, well, we'll get the surrounding communities. The surrounding community said, no, we're not going to help you.
Mhm.
Toronto or New York did the same thing. And you could see like cops are quitting. They
Well,
are quitting.
well, actually, there was two separate videos that I had watched. I will put it in the description box below because I won't be able to air them, for one, because we might get pulled down, and two, well, it would just interrupt the podcast. But there was one video that I had watched, which was actually from Fox News, which is an unvaccinated trooper loses his job. I believe, I could be wrong on the amount of years, but I think he served for like 30 some odd years in the military. And it started becoming mandatory, and he said, forget it, I'm not doing it. And so he lost his job. Then there was also there was a video that just recently went viral from another one from Fox News. An Arizona sheriff goes viral for a message against mandating vaccines. He had put out a message, obviously, stating that he was not going to force any of his cops or anybody else that they had to be vaccinated. He refused to do so. And the
Well,
video had gone viral, which is honestly like that is super admirable. The fact that he was like, no, I'm not going to make my fellow cops and employees or whatever have to be mandated for this. Forget it.
well, that's not an unusual story. It's just they don't get recognition. There are a
Yeah.
lot of officers that are saying we are not enforcing these mandates because morally they are irreprehensible.
Because they're
So
bullshit. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
so you forced out the one. So you had the Black Lives, Antifa, all that crap. You had all that, all for last year. Cities are burning. Cops are being put in the middle of their community hates them. They're not getting support from their community. And, the people that are paying them, the politicians that sign these laws are saying, no, we're not doing it. So there were a ton of cops that said, then fuck this. I'm not doing this. And they quit.
Yeah.
A lot of them quit. And then the whole, all the COVID lockdown stuff. Okay. More of the good guys that'll say, hey, no, this is not right. Okay. Well, then you get put on administrative leave, or
Which
or they quit. Okay, well now you've concentrated the amount of police that are willing to do anything and everything. You've concentrated the crooked ones, the ones that are just I'm just following orders. Oh,
yeah.
so
Well, it reminds me honestly of I know you bring this up a lot, but I have a few different viewpoints here, but it reminds me of how you always say like with the Nazis and stuff like that. Like a lot of those people, it's not like this wasn't actively what they wanted to do. That they were like, yeah, let's do these horrible things to these people. It was no, I'm being told to do this, so I'm going to do it. Just like that one experiment that you had showed me. I don't remember what it is, but I'm going to mention it and you're going to remember. But it was with all those scientists that were giving like torture and stuff like that to people. They wanted to
which
see.
one?
Well, no, no,
Which
no.
one?
It was
Which
an
of the
experiment.
many?
It was some experiment that they had done, so they could like hear like
In
screaming and
Germany?
stuff. I don't remember, but they could
Okay.
hear like
Okay.
screaming and stuff, and they
Oh,
were
the
literally like torturing them because they were being told to do it, and they wanted to
um,
see if how much that they would have to like get these people to do it, and that they would actually follow the orders, or if they would be like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. Like it was some sort of
it
experiment that they
it
had
was it
done.
was yeah, that was the Milgram experiment.
Yes,
So
thank you. I knew you'd
so
remember.
yeah, so for anyone that doesn't know, so the idea was, so there was the test subject, and then so the test subject was supposed to ask questions to a person in another room, and they were told that it was supposed to help with memory and reinforcement. And so the test subject would be asking this person in another room, and they could only hear through a microphone. They couldn't see the person. And the person administering, or I guess the doctor or the scientist overseeing it, had a clipboard. And when the test subject would ask the person a question, so if they got the question right, nothing would happen. But if they got the question wrong, they would be given an electric shock. And so on this dial, it had, it said voltage, and then, it would increase from like 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth, to the point where eventually the shocks would become lethal and kill the person. So what everyone took away from this experiment was that people would do irreprehensible things if by a person of authority. So if people were from my understanding, if people were told, like if they would say, hey, no, I can't do this, well, then the scientists they had canned responses. So it could be like, well, no, you have to continue. The person that were conducting this on accepted this. So, we have to continue. So if it was coming from a place of, for the greater good, most people continued on.
Yeah.
Most. But if also the scientists had canned responses, if they say no, if the doctor would say you have to do this, a lot of times the people would reject it. So there's, if you feel as though you're doing something for a, a greater cause, you are more likely to comply with it. But if you are demanded to do it, and most people would say, no, I will not take part in this. This is wrong.
But think about that.
So
Like, tell me that doesn't sound like, thank you for taking over there and explaining it a lot better to everybody who's listening, because I did a really sucky job of it, but I knew that you would know what I was talking about. But tell me that doesn't sound like what it is now. Like, everybody is, oh, you got to get the vaccine, you got to do this. It's for the greater good. You have to do this. You got to vaccinate your kids. You got to blah 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 blah
you
because it's
love
for the
grandma,
greater
don't
good.
you? You
Yeah.
don't want to kill grandma. Yeah.
But, when someone is demanding it, okay, well, it's mandatory. You have to do this. That's when people are like, nay, nay, fuck you. I'm not doing what you're telling me to do. Then you have the people who are fighting back. But exactly that. If people are saying, oh, it's for the greater good, it's for the greater good. Look what's happening with people. People are turning in their neighbors because it's for the greater good. They're
It's for
they're
their
they're making me sick. It's gonna be their fault that I'm getting sick and my grandma's getting sick, and, well, we have to help protect people. So I have to turn my neighbors in. I have to argue with, I have to turn my family in because I have to help save people. Like, they're brainwashing everybody to think these things to make so then they, commit these acts that they think is for the better. And it's really it's so sad. It really is. And then you have nurses, you have cops who are losing their jobs, other people who I'm sure are firefighters, military, anybody who is doing their job and actually there to help people and putting people's interests and their lives ahead of their own. They're losing their jobs because they believe that you should have a right to choose. But yet the people who would just blindly, "Oh, it's for the greater good. I'll do these horrible things for you." Those are the people that are stuck left there. Like, to me, it's so sad because I feel like all the really good ones, all the good cops, all the good nurses who would fight for you in a hospital and be like, "No, this person needs our help." They're all gone. And what are we left with?
left with the Amy's of the world, as she said, the sacrifices, the heads on
Yeah.
stakes.
Yeah.
Well, no, those are all the ones that we've lost. That we're losing all the good ones, and we're being left with the ones who are not going to put your life ahead of their own. They're the ones that are, "No, my life is more important. What you're doing is
Yeah,
wrong."
but they're selling it to themselves as though they're doing the altruistic thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And but simultaneously saying that now I'm a danger to them.
Which
Yeah.
is crazy because it well, more information has come out that actually with in terms of people that are vaccinated, the people that are unable to get vaccinated, like I mean like actually cannot get it for
Yeah,
whatever
immune
medical reason,
compromised folks or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, are are now a danger to the people that actually can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well, and there is some good theory surrounding that, and some good science, and some good history, especially in animal models, where they mass vaccinate for a virus in a population, and then it ends up, because it doesn't provide total sterilizing immunity, the virus is still circulating, but it's asymptomatic among them for the large part, until it all of a sudden, it actually, in the animal models, it's usually not that same virus. It's a different virus, then comes around, like, say, 2 years later, and then causes this really overreactive immune reaction. in the
see,
body.
and that's
Yeah.
that's the kind of things that happen. I remember when I had gone back to school, my English teacher, I'm really sorry. I know you're probably not listening, but I'm really sorry. I don't remember what your name was. But my English teacher, she was it's always funny because I always laughed and said she was like a hippie. Like she always had us do stuff on like environment and one of her big ones was like sanitizers and stuff like that. And it was just always centered around stuff like that, right? So, but the thing is, I had done so many projects on things like hand sanitizers and stuff like that, that when this whole COVID thing hit, I'm like, wait, what are we doing here? Because the thing that what taught me through all the research that I had done was okay, so hand sanitizers, are they good? Yes, if used sparsely on occasion. If you aren't
Oh,
anywhere where there is some place where you can wash your hands, is a hand sanitizer better than nothing? 100%. Is
yeah.
washing your hands better than a hand sanitizer? 100%. So if you're nowhere near some place where you can wash your hands, yes, use hand sanitizer. But using them all the time, what ends up creating is everybody has their own bugs. I'm just going to call them
Oh yeah,
bugs,
it's
right?
superbugs.
Yes.
It creates
Yes.
resistant bacteria. Yeah.
Exactly. The more you use, the more resistant they become, and they become exactly that, super bugs. And
Hmm.
you end up getting sicker as a result of it. So when COVID hit and everybody's using sanitizers everywhere and all these like antiseptics and, you know, antibacterial cleaners and stuff like that, I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, this is bad. And literally to this day, I will choose washing my hands over using hand sanitizers. I barely touched them.
Oh, absolutely. That was like such a beef I had with the kids' school. They were all, oh, abundance of caution this, abundance of caution that. We're going above and beyond this. The kids are going to this and that. And I was like, the one thing you could do that would be significant would be to have them wash their hands,
Yeah.
Yes. There
not sanitize.
no.
Wash
And
with soap and water. Wash them.
there's so many stores that you go into. As soon as you walk in the store, what's standing there? A hand sanitizing station. So you got to hand
Yeah.
sanitize your hand every single store you go into.
Oh, I just
However,
faked that shit.
I had gone to Safeway when I was working in Selkirk. I had gone to the Safeway there. I'm not sure if the Safeway here is the same, like in Winnipeg, because I haven't gone to a Safeway since I've been out of Selkirk. Anyway,
Mhm.
there they actually had hand washing stations. It was a little thing set up. You had your soap, they had water, and you would wash your hands. I'm like, yes, this I can get
Yeah.
behind. 100%. I will wash my hands for you. But when I see the
Absolutely.
sanitizers, I'm like, ugh. Like I don't want to.
And that's to me, that's what makes it. I'm like, well, let's invest in cleaner air. Like, we know how to filter air way better inside of large spaces. We have plenty of technology for that. Tell companies that if they want to have full occupancy, they need to put in better air systems, and they'll do it. Big corporations, especially, and give a grant to smaller businesses or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And give a grant because it'd be better for everyone's public health all the time for us to wash our hands, before we go into a shopping center or that type of thing. I don't think we need to do it every store. Like when I'm like in the mall and then each store has sanitizer, I'm like, no, no.
See that
You
yeah, that's a little silly. Mind you, I haven't been into a mall in since COVID hit, but that would
uh,
be a little ridiculous. But I guess I mean, you could think someone could leave a store and end up like picking their eyeballs and their noses and I don't know, eating their fingers a little
well,
bit. So okay. But yeah, hand washing stations, please. Much better.
but it doesn't spread on surfaces. The reason you're
No,
washing your
it doesn't.
hands is so you don't spread it into your own. Like, it's so that if you touch your own face, you don't have it on your fingers and then touch somebody else's hands and then they touch their face, right? Like, it doesn't really spread on cold surfaces. Like, it spreads from staying on living bodies and stuff,
Yeah.
right? So we're washing our hands for that reason. It's just like there are poop germs on everything. We wash our hands when we go to the bathroom just to like routinely wash our hands,
Yeah.
really. like
So I just wanted to clarify. Pfizer didn't make 143 billion.
Oh
They
god, it was
actually
more.
made 200 or 24.1 billion.
Oh,
Their sales rose 134%. So their
oh,
value doubled.
so
holy
24.1
fuck.
billion, you said?
24.1 billion. Above, which was more than the Zacks consensus estimate of 22.4. Sales rose 134% from the year ago quarter. Sorry, that wasn't a quarter; it was the year ago. So year over year, they made 134% more. So they
Jesus.
more than doubled their sales.
Wow.
Internationally, 242%.
Wow.
Okay,
So
so if dollars are seconds, that's 764 years.
Gross.
and
Like,
but
How do you even math that quick?
oh, I math hard, baby.
yeah, so it's
Yeah, yeah. If
so
dollars are seconds, that's 764 years.
Jesus.
Like,
I'm not opposed. I'm not opposed to corporations making money. I'm opposed to them making money unethically. I mean, you know what?
Yes.
Great. I'm happy they made 241 or 24.1 billion. You know
yeah.
what? Good for them. But if it's done, well, they have like everyone. Think of this: they are immune from liability. Government is immune from liability. Business owners are immune from liability.
Not
The
all.
only even some politicians, Senate members of Congress, they're exempt from it. Do, do you
It's
do you
just
see the
so
surf?
gross.
Do you see the
It's like
surf class yet?
70%. It's like 70% of the federal employees are exempt. And yeah, it is totally. It's just being like forced upon the middle and lower classes en masse
Yep.
under threat of taking their livelihood away. And they're the ones who need it and can't afford to lose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and
it's
that's the thing. Like, I mean, like, I I couldn't afford to lose my job. There's no way.
Yeah.
Like
no,
I feel really bad for a lot of those people. I give a lot of credit for people like you who said, "Fuck you. I'm not doing it. I'm out." And you did walk away. Like fucking snaps to you. I
Thanks.
personally couldn't do it. Like
It's tough.
I feel really bad for those people who are stuck in between a rock and a hard place where they don't wanna do it, but if I don't do it, I'm out of a job, and then what am I gonna do with my family? And it's just like it's a horrible, horrible situation that they're putting us in.
And the trouble too is because everyone has felt so isolated all this time, it's been even harder than it might otherwise be for people to get together and be like, yeah, I'm not doing it. Like, let's band together, you know,
Well, right?
and,
Like, I mean, they've
and all
literally
say
had us
no.
in isolation, right?
Yeah.
For over a year, almost 2 years now. And now they're
Yeah.
saying they're
That's what
dangling this in front of you. "Hey, you
mm-hmm.
wanna see your friends again? You wanna see your family? Come on, just roll up your sleeves, get the shot. You
no.
can have your lives back. Oh, you don't want to wear masks? That's cool. Get the shot. You will get your lives back. You won't have to wear masks anymore. You get the shot. Okay, well, you still got to wear your
Whoops.
masks, but now you
Oops,
got to get a
no.
second shot. Get the second shot. You'll get your lives back. Get the second shot.
No.
Oh, no, no, nay, nay. You still need a booster. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, they keep fucking changing shit. And I understand that this virus is ever changing lately.
Yeah, but
And,
that's what we know about viruses.
uh
Like,
huh.
that's already been established pretty definitively
But
in medicine.
but the thing is,
So,
like, there are so many people who don't know anything about viruses. And I'm no scientist, nor am I a doctor. So, the amount of information I know is extremely minimal, but what I do know is this is a type of virus that is, like I've said a few times, that is not like polio. It's not like other diseases where you can literally eradicate them through a vaccine. This is something that is like the flu. It can never go away. COVID will be
Yeah.
here forever.
Yeah. And like, oh geez, it's getting late. But I the other day, someone, like, again, we're doing it 2 hours
Yeah.
later.
Okay.
The other day, someone said, well, the end goal is that everyone who would be hospitalized is vaccinated. And I was like, okay, I know you think you just said something really, but let's be real. Didn't we say that the point of the vaccine, like, that's what it was tested for, was to prevent severe outcomes and death?
Yeah.
And we were told that it was 95% effective
Yeah.
at that,
And yeah,
right?
and now it's as low as 3%.
Right. Right. So it's like, okay, so what do you mean? Isn't the, like, again, that's just another example of the goalpost changing or the storyline changing, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now I'm like, I saw a bus billboard, a photo of a bus billboard. I didn't see this with my own eyes. I just say, like, it was in front of me. I saw a photo of a bus billboard that was like, kids get strokes too. Know the signs. Sorry, excuse
Oh
me.
my
Record
God.
scratch sound. What the fuck?
Yeah. How
Pardon?
often?
Like, do you remember back in grade 4 when little Jimmy didn't come in because he had a stroke?
No.
Me neither.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Me
No.
fucking
Yeah.
neither.
So I guess, well, so there was a couple of things. So I have an article, and this was from the Toronto Star, and of course they paywalled it, but it is titled, "So Ontario will unveil its plan for COVID-19 booster shots on Wednesday." So
Yeah.
I made the joke of, um eventually fully vaccinated won't mean anything. You will,
No.
you will be considered unvaccinated because you have 3 shots and you had to get 4.
Oh, yeah.
And
They've already
it's
changed it to double vaccinated instead of fully, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and so there was, um so one thing, I'm gonna try and pull it up. It's called THULAS, I think it's called Thales or Thales. Thales software. It is
Not
a
valid.
No, it's an application that you get on your phone, and it helps facilitate your life through the government.
Excuse you?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Did I hallucinate? Can you please say that again?
yeah. So they,
facilitate your life through the
yeah,
government. Is that what you said?
yeah. I think
Okay.
And how
THA.
exactly? In what context?
I'm trying to find the video for it. Oh,
Well, that ties into that metaverse idea, right? That
yeah,
you'll be able to be walking down the street and think of something that you need from the store, and a vending machine or an app will pop up automatically as soon as you think of it. And you'll boop the thing and it'll get delivered to your house
yeah.
That's fucked up.
for you,
Like,
and that you'll, like, have this constant back and forth interplay between your real life and this internet
This is like
world.
some Black Mirror shit. Like, that's fucked
oh,
up.
did
This
you
is
did
their
you find
plan.
it? Did you find
No.
it, Kim?
No, I was just what
Oh,
she was saying.
No, we're just
uh,
otherwise Black Mirror.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you watch that show?
I'm familiar with the concept, but no, I haven't watched it.
It is fucked up. Like, it is like Twilight Zone for like now. Like, every
Yeah.
episode is different. It's a different story. Some of them are a little disturbing. Some of them are kind of like meh, but some, oh man, do they get your fucking thinkers going?
All right, cool. I'll check it out. I'll check it out.
Don't
Right.
I can't remember what the first episode was. If the first episode is regarding I think he's a cop or some shit like that, or some government guy. That was the first one I seen anyway. Keep watching. It takes a few.
If that one, I get, yeah.
That one, I would skip that one. I wasn't really a fan of that one at all. That one was really fucking dark.
Okay. Thanks for the tip on that too.
Yeah.
Did you find it?
I'll see if I can. I can't, but it was such a creepy fucking video because it was, it was saying like, oh, well, we could help you schedule appointments, and you could say if you go to a therapist, well, they just scan your QR code and it verifies that it's you. Oh, well, we could help facilitate your bank accounts so that it was all this type of. I'm trying to find. I don't know why I cannot
I
find it.
saw like a little pamphlet sort of rundown of a similar idea of what you're mentioning. And the trouble is, some of those things would be great, especially like for me, I'm neurodivergent. I have a lot of trouble with like minor admin tasks. Like I can be an administrator, as in I can run something, but to do small tasks like phoning to make appointments stuff just kills me. Like that's monumental. I'd rather like write a 5-page report than phone
Yeah.
and book a doctor's appointment, like and have them on the phone and be like, so did you want like Friday at 2? No, I can't really do afternoon. Okay, well, she does mornings until next week. Well, do you have like a noon in there? Like, oh my gosh, that for me that's just kills me.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
agree with you on that one. It gives me anxiety. I hate it.
Yeah, I don't like that shit. So I would totally like use a little robot to do that for me and be like, make that happen. But it's just that other piece of like what they demand that you give up in exchange for it.
Yep.
And it feels really control driven and gross. I'm like, I don't know, gatekeepy or carrot chasey or something.
Yeah, well, and that's I think that's the big thing is, well, it's convenient. Oh, it's so easy. You need to verify that you've been vaccinated. Well, this program will do it for you. I'm trying to, once I find it, I'll put a link to it in the show description.
Well,
But it's creepy. It's
Check out the
creepy.
link I sent you. See if it's any of those ones.
With those like glowing dyes and stuff, right? Those bioluminescent dyes in vaccines. Did you read about that?
No.
Yeah, Gates has been developing tech. He's been invested in stuff like this for ages, and they have it. It works. Like they can do it, so that they say that it's for in like developing nations, so that they can tell without if they don't have access to medical records for someone or
So what,
that
they
kind
could
of thing.
just like essentially like put a light on you, almost like a black light, and be able to see
Yeah,
your veins like glowing?
exactly.
Ew.
Bang on, like in your arm, like in your
Ew.
shoulder, or at the injection site or
That's
whatever.
gross.
That it would remain there, and that they were like kind of honing in to make them deteriorate at a rate that would then like signify when it stops lighting up that it's time for you to have a booster,
Oh my
for
God.
example, or
Ugh.
stuff.
That's gross.
So super gross, right? Did you ever read that book, or see that film Gattaca? I'm having deja vu. Did I already say that last time we talked?
No.
No, you didn't.
Oh, well, watch that movie. Like legit.
What's it called?
Gattaca,
Gattaca.
Gatacca, I think. It's quite a well made film. I think it's underrated, underacclaimed, personally, and I believe it's based on a book. But I won't spoil it. But it's just basically like this futuristic society where most people are genetically engineered, but some people are still sort of left over from the transition and are naturally born, but they have defects. Some of
Ooh.
them, and they
Ethan
live in this.
Hawke and Uma Thurman, Jude Law.
Yeah,
Sounds like
it's
a gooder.
sexy. It's very sexy also, and like sort of an art deco postmodern brute architectural landscape that I found quite delightful in a bleak way, I guess. But they in their culture, they have to prick their fingers to go into certain places, to confirm
Well,
they're being genetically identified.
Wow.
Yeah.
all right, let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Let's. I'm still
Okay.
snacky, and I don't want to have dreams. I don't want to sleep till 2. So this is the kind of late night coordination I do in my life.
All right. Well, Amy, thank you so much for coming on again. I look forward to having you on a future podcast again.
You guys, it's so
always a
great.
pleasure.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun. I sure appreciate it.
All right.
Yes.
And don't forget. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, where can people find you?
What do they want to find me for?
I don't know. Do you have a website? Do you
For
have
your freelance work,
Oh, well, I suppose people can look me up. And you know what? Why don't I put something together maybe, and you can link it as you do with other information.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah. My website is in a disaster state. I can give
Fair
you
enough.
an email address, but yeah, and
All right. Okay. Did we all die, or did I die?
It's funny. That was my thought exactly. I'm like, did she die? Just like we all went silent there. All right. Well, don't forget, thumbs up, thumbs down, leave a comment, share, subscribe, share. Check us out everywhere that you want to listen to your podcast: YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Anchor, anywhere else, socials, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. We are there. So we look forward to you stalking us and checking us out. Hope everyone had a great evening and has a great week and a great hump day.
Hey.
Wow, wow.
Okay, I don't know what happened, but I'm here now and I'm saying bye to you.
Yes. Have a good night, everyone.
Hey.
Good night. Good night, Amy.
Bye.